What is up, future fighters? And today we have the patch notes and the maintenance for the upcoming X-Men update that we've been covering as part of the Star Agent program with the beta testing APK thing in the previous 3-4 days worth of videos. So before we get into the actual patch notes, which we already are familiar with, the maintenance is actually 1 day earlier than usual. So rather than the update landing and the game being live again in the very early hours of the morning on the 11th, it's actually going to be 24 hours earlier in the early hours of the morning on the 10th. So basically at 2 a.m. Eastern, for those of you in the East Coast of the United States or Canada, 2 a.m. Eastern is when the update will be live. For the West Coast people, Vancouver, California, etc., it's 11 p.m. On the 9th, which is almost the 10th. And then for people around the world, it's going to be even later, possibly into the early morning / afternoon of the 10th. For those of you kind of in Asia. So that is what we can expect. I will be live on twitch.tv/Cynicalex if you want to come by. I'm going to be live 2 hours before the maintenance is over, playing some Remnant, and then when the maintenance is over and the update goes live, I will be jumping into the update on my actual real account this time, not on a beta test account. So that's what's up with the maintenance. As far as the actual update is concerned, not a lot of surprises, minus Rachel Summers. So we're gonna have to talk about how to acquire her, but from what I can tell, going through all of these passives and skill effects, everything seems to be the same. So I don't think that tweaks were made. I don't see ignores immunity anywhere that we didn't already see it. So it doesn't appear to have been added to any of the characters, that we expected them to be added to, or that we hoped they would be added to, between the Star Agents, myself and others, reviewing it, and now when they release the patch notes, because probably they're not going to make any changes between the patch notes and the actual update. So now I guess if we want something changed, we're going to have to get it changed after the update goes live, with a little bit of, community banding together. But shouldn't be too big of a deal. As far as the new uniforms are concerned, they're all 1050, as I failed to realize based on their upgrade power level. I guess that the plus all attack and the plus all defense should have tipped me off to the fact that the uniforms were 1050. We don't see any changes in the uniform bonuses either, but that doesn't mean the uniforms haven't been tweaked prior to the update, because they could still tweak the skills and we just can't see it. Just to recap, in case you haven't been watching videos lately, Colossus looks absolutely amazing as a combat villain, and he does not need any changes, but I do think both Cyclops and Emma Frost deserve more power and deserve more buffs to their uniforms to not only differentiate them from previous expensive uniforms, but also to make them worth even considering for tier 3 in the first place in the case of Cyclops. As far as level 70s are concerned, it's the 3 new characters plus Cyclops, because Emma and Colossus already have level 70. We still have no word about possible uniforms for Namor or Magic, because they are the 2 other members of the Phoenix 5 that are left out. And of course there was that situation where people got in really early on the APK and realized there were a few additional uniforms that weren't meant to be there, that were kind of lingering. As well, on top of Magic not having her level 70 and not being a part of this list, Rogue. I'm scared to say, but it's possible that Rogue and Apocalypse will be the only mutants after this update that don't have level 70 at all. So if that means that they're saving Rogue and Apocalypse for a separate X-Men update sometime in 2020. Can't believe I just said that, but yeah, that is a possibility, but we'll have to wait and see. But it's a bit of a bummer that, just a few select X-Men, and some of the core X-Men at that, are being left, I mean, it's nice to space them out, but it's also like, man, really couldn't find space for Rogue, at least in this update. It's very supervillain heavy now, so I don't see the need to put Apocalypse here. But, yeah, I feel like Rogue definitely could have been included somewhere. As far as the tier 3 skill for Cyclops goes, I am still not very impressed with it. I think that the effects are not good enough, and I think the damage is not good enough. The damage is not as good as Sharon's, which is going to be the immediate comparison that Cyclops has. And then the effects are not as good as Sharon's. I mean, the guaranteed crit is nice, but it's only for 3 seconds. and it only applies to self, whereas Sharon has that bubble that applies to all allies, which immediately makes her stronger for things like GBR, and of course the very new Danger Room coming as well. So I don't know, I really feel like we're gonna, we might be seeing some complaints, and we might see some reaction from Netmarble buffing post-launch Cyclops, because why would you tier 3 him? There are so many strong Blast tier 3s. You got to give us a reason to tier 3 Cyclops. You know, if it's just an increase of score for an ABX of a couple thousand, or I mean a couple 100,000 or even 1,000,000 points, yeah, you're going to convince like 400 players, maybe less, to tier 3 him. But that's a really, really small number. If you actually want people to tier 3 this character, you have to make him worthwhile. It doesn't have to be OP, just has to be worthwhile. And right now, does not seem worthwhile. Better than Magneto is not the bar you want to set for new Blast tier 3s. Magneto is terrible, we know that. But don't make a character 10% better than Magneto and sell that to us. It's not good enough. As far as the Danger Room, there have been some changes, or I guess some additional information that's come out for the Danger Room that's actually amazing. So I'll just recap what it is for you guys. So we have the 3 versus 3 format. For those of you that are complaining that this is live PvP and that we should be getting live PvP in timeline battle, this is very different than live PvP. It's live in the sense that it's tracking the boss's HP for both your team and the enemy team simultaneously. But it's not live in any other sense. You're attacking a dummy. You're attacking a PvE boss, like world boss. It's basically just tracking your fight and tracking another team's fight simultaneously. That's a much simpler thing to do in real time compared to tracking, how fast I hit you and how much damage I do and your reaction simultaneously. I mean, anyways, if you just look into it at all, or you talk to someone who knows anything about live PvP is basically impossible to implement. So this is not, I know they say it's live and it's PvP, but it's not. And so saying that we should be getting live PvP because we have the Danger Room is like saying I have an apple, so I should be able to hold the moon. It's just they're not comparable. They're both round. That's basically the only thing they have in common. So they say here that the Danger Room will only be open in beta testing and may experience issues from time to time. We know that. Anything server related is may go through issues. We will be holding a community event after everyone's had a chance to try it out in order to collect your feedback and improve the game mode as we go on. This is an amazing thing to put in the patch notes before we even tried the game mode out, because remember, they held a community event for Giant Boss Raid, and then a few months later, and I gotta give Netmarble huge credit for this, they came out with Galactus GBR. They listened very closely, not to the YouTubers' comments, but they listened to your comments and your feedback. And so, this is an amazing opportunity to take a game mode that already looks fun and make it even more fantastic, sometime at the end of the year or sometime in 2020. So I think this is excellent, and this is absolutely the way you want to go to keep your, retain existing players, but also, pull in new players who want to play this game, because it's getting so much love and so much attention from the developers. And then whatever the testing out the Danger Room guide, the Danger Room basically will reset every Sunday at, it looks like, the reset. So Sunday at the daily reset, for people on the other side of the world, it would be kind of like Sunday night or early Monday morning. And that will mean that it has a weekly schedule like ABX, and it has a weekly schedule like Shadowland and things like that. So that will be one season. One season of the Danger Room will run for 1 week, so you'll be able to collect the seasonal Danger Room rewards once per week. And those seasonal Danger Room rewards are tied to your rank, which is tied to the number of wins you get. So remember, if you want to get a higher rank, you have to get more wins, and then getting a higher rank and getting more wins will improve your rewards. I can't find out where it shows the rewards, but it goes all the way up to, here we go, these are the rewards. So you'll be able to collect one of these boxes, at least one, every week. And it's unclear if you get all of the previous rewards or if you only get the highest tier of rewards, but you can get premium characters here: Magic, Colossus, Weapon Hex, Gambit, and I believe Kid Omega, and also Rachel Summers from I believe platinum and up. So the last 3 chests there allow you to get those characters. So once per week is really good. Some people were worried that the seasons were going to last 2 or 3 weeks, which would lower the amount of rewards we're getting and lower the frequency, but every week is quite nice. If you haven't yet finished Chapter 3.5, which, unless you started playing the game today, that's impossible, you will have already unlocked the Danger Room as soon as you log in. There's no entry limit. You can play as much as you like, just like Giant Boss Raid. It just costs, I believe, 10 energy. The great thing is, so when you enter the Danger Room, you're in a private lobby. You can invite 3 agents. Well, you can invite 2, because you are an agent. You can invite 2 friends from your friends list or your alliance members, but here's the interesting thing. If the session starts without 3 agents, random agents will be teamed up automatically. So this was one criticism of this game mode, that it's forcing us to play socially when we don't necessarily want to, or have people, friends in our alliances or friends on a friends list that are active, or maybe they are active but they're not active during our time zone because they sleep or they're on the other side of the world. So you can actually play by yourself, not by yourself, but you can queue up by yourself and then be placed into a team with 2 other people to avoid that situation. So pretty much everyone will be able to play, and there's basically no reason to hate this game mode. It's not forcing you to be social, but you will definitely have better results if you play with people who know what they're doing, which is harder if you play with randoms. And of course, if you've played Galactus GBR, you know exactly what it's like to queue into a random group and have people not collecting the orbs, letting Galactus heal himself, etc., not dodging the attacks, dying immediately, and so on and so forth, getting mind controlled by Master Mold and killing you. You know how it goes. The 3 bosses that we're going to be encountering for Danger Room are Jean Grey, Magneto, and Strife, so it'll be interesting to see how their playstyles differ and how those fights are, you know, more difficult or less difficult. And then it says here each season runs for 1 week. You still have the same situation that we've talked about in the previous Danger Room video, where you select a character, and once your character is selected, you can't all play the same character, so you have to coordinate with your team who is going to play who. You know, I'm going to play Captain America, you play Captain Marvel, you play Spider-Man, so on and so forth. So this is a bit unclear, but characters you do not own and already used can still be selected. So I think what that means is if you've already used the character before, if you play again, you can use that character again. It's not like every time you play, you have to choose a new character. You could play Danger Room 10 times in one day and choose Cyclops every single time, if none of your other teammates choose Cyclops first. The stats, the tier, rank, level, mastery, skill, and gear level of the character you choose, even if you don't have them, and the equipment will be automatically adjusted to balance the situation. So I don't really know what that means. Automatically adjusted to balance the situation. Is that being based on your agent level? Is that being based on your shield level? Is that being based on the number of tier 2s or tier 3s that your account has? Is it based on the number 1 rank of this character, the way that World Event draws that information from there? How is this automatically adjusted to balance the situation? Seems a bit unclear, and it also is unclear whether or not I will be able to use my own Captain America. So if I load up this game mode, would I have a CTP of Rage on Iron Man? Would I have, you know, a CTP of Energy on Deadpool? Would I have a CTP of Destruction on Spider-Man? Or are they going to be automatically adjusted, even though I do have the characters at tier 3? It would be interesting to see how that works. If it's like the beta, then it's going to be automatically adjusted no matter what. So you're not technically playing with your version of the characters, which does bother some high-level players who want to play with their roided out characters. And I understand that. So I do encourage Netmarble, and of course we're going to be able to let them know in the community feedback event after we've already played, but I would encourage Netmarble to have certain seasons where you can use your own characters. So because they've planned to have 1 season per week, perhaps for 3 seasons you have, you know, automatically adjusted characters, and then for 1 season it's kind of a free-for-all, and that would sort of give an advantage to whales, give an advantage to high-level players, but for the 3 weeks everything would be balanced and everything would be more sort of fair and just purely skill-based. And then you have all the regular stuff for the Danger Room here. Nothing has been added or changed, although we do see some additional effects and some additional characters. Like we never saw Doctor Strange before, we never saw Spider-Man before, Captain America, so on and so forth. It sort of just explains how to play the Danger Room, which we'll talk about in a later video, but you collect these, they call them skill energy, in order to use the exclusive skills. And so it seems like they are putting a heavy emphasis on using the exclusive skills as a means of winning. So that might be sort of a built-in hint if you're having trouble winning. It says you can revive after 10 seconds, but I observed reviving a lot closer to 30 seconds. So we'll see if this carries over into the live server or if it trims down to 10 seconds. Because the game mode lasts so long, it's a 5-minute game mode, and you sit there every time you die for 30 seconds, which is a pretty long amount of time to wait. It would be nice if they either trimmed down the game mode a little bit, like made it 3 or 4 minutes and lowered the boss HP, or actually made it so that you revive after 10 seconds. Because dying and reviving after 10 seconds is really snappy, and it does give you just a little bit of a break from the game. It gives you time to sort of look at the layout, look at what the boss is doing, look at what your teammates are doing, and sort of formulate a new plan. It can still be frustrating to die over and over again, but at least it gives you a little bit of time. But if you die after 2 minutes of playing and you're dead for 30 seconds, I could see some people getting bored of that and just putting down their phone and walking away and then just being AFK, because unlike MOBAs and other game modes, this is not going to punish you for being AFK. It might disconnect you from the server, but that's just going to punish your teammates. It's not actually going to punish you unless it uses your energy up before you finish the game mode, but then that would punish people for crashing. So yeah, don't AFK, guys. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, and then it has some victory screen that reminds a lot of people of Overwatch, and then you've got other things about the proficiency. The daily first win rewards, they've clarified it here. The first win of the day, so the very first time you play Danger Room and you win for the day, for that daily reset, you will get a reward, and there's a list of rewards here that you can get. You get, I believe, 15 X genes of a random character. So again, you have a chance to get Kid Omega, you have a chance to get Weapon Hex, which is quite nice. Oh, you also have a chance to get X23, who's quite rare. On top of that, you will get an additional first victory reward if you level up your proficiency to the next level. So that does encourage grinding to get to a higher proficiency level, although your proficiency XP will obviously give you less towards the next level the higher you go. So that's just kind of how grinding works. But it's good to know that you can get more than one daily first win reward as long as you level up your proficiency. So that is pretty cool. So it says here, each time you earn 100% reward points, your proficiency level will increase and a chest will be rewarded. The chests also contain a different amount of rewards here. These rewards, not very good. I opened up 2 chests. I got 100 gear kits and 10,000 gold. Those were low-level proficiency rewards, so it'll be interesting to see what the boxes look like at level 10, at level 20, at level 30, and so on and so forth. What the maximum level is. Is it 99? Is it 499? As far as the chests go, and as far as their rewards go, they talk about the ranking rewards for the seasons and how, you know, if you get up to gold rank, you can get these rare characters, but you can even get Weapon Hex in Kid Omega and X23 if you're at the bronze level. And then if you get up to platinum and up, you'll be able to also get Rachel Summers. Speaking of Rachel Summers, actually one more thing before we get into that. The rewards are based on the September update and may be changed later on. So that is encouraging to know that they may cycle out these characters either for other X-Men, like for example Sabretooth or Juggernaut, or for other characters altogether, and not necessarily make it only X-Men themed. It'd be very cool if the Danger Room had, like, for example, Inhuman themed characters, Inhuman themed bosses. But anyways, that's for a later community event feedback sort of quiz form. But we also have the Rachel Summers special training, which I thought was going to be a separate game mode or a separate part or season of the Danger Room, but no, it functions very much like an Epic Quest Deluxe Pack. It costs 4,500 crystals. You're going to be able to get 1,250 crystals back, so that lowers the cost to 3,250 crystals, which is around the exact same cost as the Black Panther legendary battle with the legendary uniform, and then the other things involved with it, the card, the tier 2 ticket. It's going to allow you over the 60 days, so over 2 months, it allows you to get Rachel Summers from 6 stars to tier 2. You automatically get her at 6 stars when you get this, and then you get a bunch of other rewards that are achieved by playing the Danger Room. So this is basically like a battle pass in a lot of ways. If you've played Fortnite, if you've played other games like that, it's basically a battle pass for the Danger Room only. So you purchase this when the Danger Room comes out, and then by playing in the Danger Room and doing certain things, achieve MVP for highest damage dealt one time. You'll be able to unlock additional rewards. We're going to have to sit and calculate if this is actually worth the 3,250 crystals. You get 8 6-star ISOs, which presumably would be to equip onto Rachel Summers. So it seems like this is just kind of like a starter pack for building Rachel Summers. But of course, you know, these are random ISOs, so you could technically get like 5 purples, which you don't need. It's a random 6-star custom gear, so you could get something bad like poison resist instead of fire damage, which is what she needs. The one interesting thing with it, which I'm a little bit worried about, is that it says the training pack will be on sale until the 11th of November. So I'm not sure what's going to happen after the 11th of November, if it's going to change in cost or if it's just not going to be purchasable anymore. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But this is an interesting new way of creating an alternative to get a character. So you have the opportunity to either pay crystals up front and get the character and try them out, or you can always grind up for free in the Danger Room, again, get up to Platinum to win. They've made some other changes to items that you purchase with them going into a separate tab, and it says here, refunds may be difficult to process once a subscription-based product is opened. So once you click that acquire button. So I think what they're trying to say here is that for people who accidentally purchase items, if the items automatically go into the item tab and you didn't want them, you made a mistake, as long as you don't click acquire and actually open the items and have them added to your inventory, added to your other tabs, then it may be easier for the customer service to reverse the purchase and to give you a refund. But if you're not paying attention, you click purchase, it goes into your item tab, you go into the item tab, you click acquire, that's your fault. And you've basically agreed that you wanted to purchase that thing. I'm not sure if that's exactly what they're trying to do, but it's just a bit coincidental to me that they're noting refunds are difficult to process if you've already opened it. So they're basically saying if you made a mistake and you want a refund, don't be stupid, don't open this. So it'll be interesting to see if that actually helps people out, and if that happens to anyone after the update and they see an improvement in that, please let me know. They've also made an improvement to Alliance Tournament. Now, this doesn't really affect the vast majority of people playing Marvel Future Fight. The Alliance Tournament is only for the top 16 alliances. I don't really understand what this means. Bonus points are calculated based on remaining time even if you win with 100% HP. So I guess it means that, I guess it's saying that if you really beat your opponent badly, like if you wipe them out in the first 10 seconds, you will get more points than if you took the full minute to grind them out, even if you have max HP at the end of both fights. So it's basically making a differentiation between, healing back all of your HP but taking a minute to kill the enemy versus not taking any damage because you just thumped your opponent. I think this scoring system, it punishes alliances that bring starter packs more heavily. So if you bring along the preset characters for Alliance Tournament, which are Captain America, Black Widow, and Iron Man, you're probably going to lose not only very quickly, which would be adding a lot of remaining time, but you're also probably not going to do any damage, so the enemy team's going to have 100% HP. But again, the Alliance Tournament doesn't really matter to most players. So with that being said, on the one hand, I'm glad that Netmarble is paying attention to Alliance Tournament finally, because some of the biggest spenders in the game are in the Alliance Tournament. However, this is not a good enough, like, this is nothing. This is like you see someone is bleeding from their leg and you're like, hey, here's a Band-Aid. Well, I've got this giant cut in my leg. I think you need to give me more than a Band-Aid. I'm not saying the Alliance Tournament is a cut, but I'm saying that this is hardly an improvement. They need to do like sweeping changes to the game mode top to bottom. They need to get rid of the fact that it's autoplay only. They need, like, there's so many things that they need to do to make this game mode actually worthwhile, but we'll get into that later. They've made changes or improvements to Uru Combine. They've also changed the Shield Academy so that you don't actually have to purchase a uniform now, so you don't have to spend the crystals. And then they made a bunch of other bug fixes to existing content. They changed some co-op wording, and they changed some giant boss clipping with the Galactus sort of going into the middle of the arena. So overall, I am honestly pretty happy and excited to be playing in this update. There's pretty much something for everyone here. If you are a free-to-play player who wants to grind, you have a brand new game mode where you don't even need to get the characters at tier 3. It only costs you energy, and you get to get brand new characters like Rachel and Kid Omega, in addition to characters that are very, very hard to get normally, i.e. X23, and then also characters that are only paid for via real money or extremely lucky premium hero box pulls in Weapon Hex. If you're the type of person that wants to get everything right away, you can dish out the crystals for Kid Omega, you can dish out the crystals for Rachel Summers, and you'll be able to cruise through and enjoy your X-Men. So there's pretty much something for everyone. I don't see why people would complain about this, but if you have complaints, let me know down below in the comments. I'll be reading and replying. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you tonight on the live stream and tomorrow. Take care.